Thank you, Brother Millender. Stay strong on the case. Thank you, our sister Dixon, that is leading the troops into the UAW. You've got a family, you've got a friend, you've got our support. You've got a congressman that's going to join you on the picket line. And I want to send a message. You cannot be too proud to picket sometimes. Look at where the stakes are today, and look at what's going on. There's a lot of antis going on. Think about it. You've heard about those that are anti-expanding voter registration, anti-women's reproductive rights, anti-teaching our children the curriculum of Africans Americans in the history of America. Our history does not begin with slavery. We are Americans that had been enslaved. We have a very unique history. Those that are trying to erase labor history are the same people that have an issue with the 1619 Project. They have an issue with women and reproductive rights. They're the same people that want to shut down the government. It's time for you to join a picket sometime. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot let our children sit at home and miss this teachable moment. They may need to miss a day of school. They need to learn how food comes on their table. They may need to know how mom and dad have benefits and why they get to take a day off on the weekend. They may need to understand why they have some shoes and clothes that are new that go back to school and other classmates don't, because their parents are willing to stand up and picket for what's right. Ladies and gentlemen, for those that aren't up on the latest news on what's happening with the UAW and our friends of the union, we have to get this message out over and over and over again. The big three, Stellantis, Ford, General Motors, are projected to make $32 billion in profits this year. $32 billion with a B in profits in fiscal year 2023. The executives of these three top labor organizations, these automotive manufacturing companies, are making over $20 million a year. God bless them. But we have to talk about the deal. And what was the deal? Our nation was in crisis in 2008. What happened in 2008 is these corporations were going bankrupt. What was known as Chrysler was given to Fiat, an Italian concern, and then repackaged to call Stellantis. The workers made a tremendous sacrifice. They worked side by side, and some people were willing to take half of the wage to do something patriotic, to donate, to invest, to keep our automotive industry alive. And what have they been given? They've been giving no gratitude, no respect. So the workers today are standing up for their dignity, they're standing up for their rights, they're standing up for their fair wages. Can you imagine working side by side with a colleague for the last 15 years, and you're making $16 an hour, and the other person's making $32 an hour, doing the same work every day? Since 2013 to 2023, U.S. corporations, the big three, have recorded $250 billion in profits. $250 billion in profits, $250 billion. So what are the workers asking for? They're asking for what's normal, what's right, what's fair, and what's just. They have sacrificed the longest and the hardest, and before you benefit the executives and the shareholders, you ought to look back and pay back the people that did the work in order for you to make a profit. It's real simple. It's nothing complicated about it, ladies and gentlemen. We're on the front line, and there's a unionization movement across the nation. We have more billionaires and more wealth and more million-dollar homes in our nation than we've ever had. And that's at the top of the spectrum. And people, the workers that are on the front line, that have the hardest jobs, are being told once again, Reverend Brown, by Pharaoh, to make to make bricks without straw. They want to keep you in the dungeon of the society, where we affirm the right of every working person to have dignity, to make a living, and be honest. In conclusion, we've got a challenge that lies before us, ladies and gentlemen. We have a migrant challenge. One of the issues with the migrant challenge, if you will, is to make sure they have work permits. People inherently want to work to get on with their life. But ladies and gentlemen, we also have to understand, if you are a full citizen, having been born here, your parents having served in the service, having gone to war or crossed the seas, and you might have had an infraction with your government, the United States, and you've served your time, I ask you, why are people that are citizens that have returned home having paid their debt to society, why do they still have work restrictions and cannot work in all of the possible jobs available in America? I'm pushing for migrant work restrictions so that they can now be released to work, and I want everyone that served their time to be able to work in any occupation that's available. We have a labor shortage in our country. You may not get upset about it, but I'm some kind of man. Young people are trying to work and have been turned away. In Lordstown, they're making $23.50 working at McDonald's. And down the block from a plant, the UAW workers are making $16 an hour. McDonald's is now in certain markets outpaying unionized workers at a Ford and GM and Stellantis assembly plant. Ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend Jesse Jackson is fired up. We're going to be going out to the plant. We're going to stand in solidarity. It is my privilege, my pleasure to be back here and to introduce to you the wonderful, the magnificent pastor, preacher, Reverend Brown.